All right, let's start by setting up the just the Unreal level. I like to start with an empty project just because then you can see when I'm doing tutorials, then you can see that sometimes it's really good just to see all of the steps. So I'm just going to go here into games. I have this set to my desktop, and I'm just going to call it simple. Let's call it stylish lights. And we don't need to change any of the settings. This is going to be a blueprints project, and we create the project. It's starting up now. So first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to set up some of the basics here, and then we're going to iterate on them the further we go along. So let's start by making a new empty level, just a completely empty level, and I like to save it right at the start. So call it map main. So now we have a map main. I'm just going to put all of this here under the just in the root of the project. So let's start by making the backdrop. I like to do the backdrop as a blueprint, and we do blueprint bp underscore backdrop. And this blueprint here, if I open it up, we can see that the only thing that this is supposed to be is we just want this to be a backdrop. So we add a sphere shape here, and we add it to our level, the backdrop level here, and we'll scale it up to about 100. Let's see, let's fix this on the screen a little bit. Here we go. Oh. Like so. All right, so let's set this to 100 and to 100. Here we go. Okay, so so we're not seeing anything right now. Let's put it in the center. Everything is black, even though our backdrop is white. So we'll make a new material, and I'm going to call it backdrop. And I'm going to go into my blueprint again. I'm going to find the sphere, and I'm going to drag the backdrop here over, and this is the material that I'm going to be using. So now the material that we have here is the actual backdrop material. And now all we have to do is we have to go in here. We need to change the shading model of it. We're going to change it to unlit so that it's just a single color, because this is just a background color. And we want to set it to two-sided. And two-sided means that it's going to render on both kind of on both sides, and the reason why we have to do that is because we're actually inside of the background sphere. So normally if we don't turn on two-sided, we're going to be looking through it. So I'm just going to add a constant 3 here and give this some color, but we're going to be just going to give it a purplish blue color. It's kind of like the normal map color. But we're going to be iterating on this a little bit later. Once we go into the color control scene. All right. So so now we have a backdrop. Let's make another blueprint and call it BP game actor. Let's call it puzzle. And the puzzle in this example, I'm just going to do a cube here. And basically what I want to do is I'm going to drag my puzzle here into the scene. So I'm just making a small looking puzzle kind of construct just to show off the lighting. So just go in here, duplicate this around a little bit, making some interesting, well, I hope it's interesting shapes like so, and make this a little smaller and maybe longer. Here we go, and give this a little bit of an elevation too. This. So this this looks like it could be some sort of a construct in a game. Let's just put this at the back here as well. Okay, cool. But what you can see now is that this kind of looks like a puzzle, some sort of a puzzle game. But now you can see that it's not being lit. So let's go ahead and add our lights into the scene. So first thing that we need to do is we're going to add a directional light here. And we need to align the directional light so that it's giving us some direction. But you can see that this is black right now. And the reason for that is if we go into our backdrop here, let's open up not this one, let's open up our backdrop actor, and we go into the sphere. the sphere is set to cast a shadow. So we just get rid of casting the shadow, and now you can see that we have a little bit of lighting going on here. But this is not the type of lighting that we're looking for. Even though this is kind of cool. You can see you could see the effects of lumen here, the global illumination thing. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into the project settings. Let's put this a little bit lower here so we can see what I'm doing, like so. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to go into project settings here, and I'm going to search for, I'm going to change two things. I'm going to search for lumen, the global illumination method. I'm going to set that to none because even though it's cool, it's not what we're going to be doing. So you can see that when I turned it off, this is much more traditional video game lighting, very black. And yeah, there's just light on one side, and then the shadows are completely black. But I'm also going to turn off the auto exposure feature. So the auto exposure is going to make sure that we get the colors a little bit kind of truer. So we're not scaling the colors up and down. So now we have the light selected. It's pretty bright. So here we go. I turned the light down to 1. And yeah, now we have the kind of the base for our light, but the only thing that is missing is the actual skylight here. So now I've added a skylight, and what we want to do with the skylight here is we want to add a specific cube map to the skylight, and and that's gonna take us closer to the more kind of stylish look. So let's do that next. Alright, so the key to the lighting that we want to do is having a good kind of stylish looking cube map that is going to be kind of contributing to the light. So the way to make normally the cube maps are used for kind of yeah, I mean they're used for lighting and reflections and things like that. But the method that I'm going to be showing is a really interesting one to create more dynamic ones or stylish ones. So let's take a look in a browser what you need. So here in the Unreal documentation, they have some information about creating cube maps. So this is very good to to read through. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take I'm just clicking on the example that they have here, and I'm going to save this onto my desktop. And let's just put this here. The layout for Nvidia. So if I open up this this texture here, you can see that now I have this texture map. And the next thing that I needed to do is if I want to import this into the engine, this has to be a special format, a texture format. So what I've been using is called the Nvidia Texture Tools Exporter. This used to be a Photoshop plugin at some point, but right now you can actually get this as a standalone tool. So I just went in here to the Nvidia site and downloaded the standalone application. Yeah, it's still a Photoshop plugin, but I downloaded the standalone application. So after that has been downloaded, all we have to do is do the texture exporter. Let's just start the tool here. If we take a look here in the documentation, let's go back into the tool. It's very nice that you can, if I go to my desktop, let's not do it like this. Go here and here. I have the cube map here on the desktop. I drag it in here, and I say I change here the texture type this is supposed to be a cube map. So this is going to change the way that this is kind of perceived or used in the level into a cube map, and you have this kind of reflective cube to see how this is going to be affected by the scene. So next thing we want to do is we just want to take a look at the documentation here, and this here is the compression that you want. It's 888 ARGB 32 BPP unsigned. So we go in here and we scroll down to the format, and we just search for 888. So that's the one here. Here on the bottom right you have the Save As button, and let's go back here and save this as our cube map .dts. The file format that we're using is called DTS. So now I've saved this to the desktop, and all I have to do now is just go ahead and find my cube map here. The DTS file is here. It's a little bit close to the border. All we need to do now is we just drag our DTS file in here. Then it gets imported into the project called cube map as a texture cube here. We find our skylight. Let's fix the editor again. We find the skylight here. We already set the source type here to specific cube map, and we drag this new cube map in here. And what you'll see is that now my scene is actually being lit with the colors from the cube map. And if I just get rid of the directional light for now. Yeah, let's just get rid of the directional light. So you can see that there is a green color coming at the from the positive Y. So you can see the axes here. There is a red color coming from the left and from the right, left and right, and there's a greenish color coming from the top, and so there's a dark color coming from the bottom. And the bottom, that is because we want to turn off cast shadows, and we also want to, there is a setting on the skylights that says the bottom is supposed to be dark. So ground bottom. Let's see, map resolution. So let's increase the intensity a little bit, and let's scroll down here and see, yeah, lower hemisphere color. Here we go. So, and then the lower hemisphere color here, because the skylight was set to have the lower hemisphere color, we weren't getting it from the cube map. So now this is a bluish color. So now we're getting pretty close to having some interesting lighting setup here. But these colors are pretty random. I do like having the directional light in there. Because we get a little bit of a shadow that I think is kind of cool, but I want it to be very subtle and something like say 0.2, yeah, something like this. So this was the process of actually exporting, just creating a cube map. So what we did is we opened up our texture tools here. We made sure that the format was correct based on the Epic Games webpage. We changed the texture type into a cube map. We dragged and dropped our special texture into this. You can see the cube here. That's how it looks. Dragged and dropped it in here, and then we saved it as a DTS file. Loaded that into the editor and got an asset that is a texture cube that we can then drag and drop onto our skylight after we've set the source type to specific cube map. Then we just drag and drop it over here, and then we get something looking similar to this. So this is the process on how we create the cube map. So the next step we want to do is how do we actually make art direct this, or make this a little bit better looking. So our cube map is right now but just made out of random colors, or the colors that just came from this cube map that Epic provided. So the next step is to put the colors that we want inside of these cubes. And the way that I like to do that, I mean, one way to do it would just be opening up Photoshop and just making it. But I know this is something that I need to iterate on, and I need to do this a couple of times. So what I like to do is, if it's possible, to create these kind of color control scenes, or just areas where I or the artists can actually just work and focus on a single problem, which is in this case tweaking the colors so everything looks correctly. And I do that with a software called Adobe Xd. You can do this with pretty much any piece of software that you're comfortable with. But let's open up Adobe Xd and see and walk through this. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm just going to go and grab the file that we had before, that we got from Epic, the cube kind of base here. In Adobe Xd we have this this is called an artboard, and I'm going to make, so this is going to be the artboard that's going to contain our new cube map. So I'm just going to rename it new cube map. Should probably be something smarter than that, but if I click on the template one here, I can see that this is 3072 512. So I'm setting mine to be the same size here, and let's just move it over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make shapes that are the same size here. So I'm just roughly dragging and dropping a new shape here, and you can see here in the transform that it's 511 by 512, and it's very important that it's actually perfectly the correct size. I'm gonna remove the border of it, and I'm gonna give this some random color. And now all I have to do is just duplicate it. So this is like this. Now it's 512, moved 512 to the side, duplicate it again. That's 1024, and we give this another random color. Duplicate this again. Here we go. And again, picking the random colors is the hardest one. Here we go. And the last one goes here. And I'll just put something new here. Green. Okay, cool. So now we have our new cube map that we can actually control. So let's just start by exporting this out. So what I like to do here is I like to take my new cube map here, and I can do mark for export. That makes it tells the software that this is something that is supposed to be exported when you do batch export, but you can also do save as or export all of the artboards. But I'm going to do a PNG file, and I'm going to put this in a folder on my desktop that's called cube maps. So select the folder and export. So now if we go and take a look at our desktop, we minimize this. I have a folder here called cube maps, and inside of that I have my new cube map. So we'll drag it into the texture tools again. Make sure that all of our textures are still correct. So I closed this down earlier. So here we go. So now we actually have our cube map or our colors being fed into this. So I'm going to do save as, and let's just go and into cube maps again and call it exported cube map.dts. We save that. Now we get a new file here called exported cube map, and going into Unreal, we'll import. We don't have to import, we can just drag and drop. We drag the exported cube map in here, and now we get it. Then we go in and pick the light. Again, let's see. The light gets picked here, the skylight, and then we just drag and drop our exported cube map over here, and you can see that now the lighting has changed, and you can see that from the top we're getting this pink color here, and from the bottom we should be getting a greenish color. Let's see, it's not completely the way that I thought it was going to look. So the strong pink color is coming in from here, but in any case, there's a green color coming here in the front, and yeah. So now at least we have some control over our colors. So these are just kind of random colors. So what I would do next is I would go back into my Adobe Xd file. I would go and I'll make a new artboard here, and the actually, like I wouldn't make a new artboard. So I'll go here under colors, and I'll press the new cube here. I'll press the plus button here under I'm under libraries. So now I've put all of the colors that are used in this artboard. I've changed them into a library of colors. So this means that I can go in here, and this here is the positive x-axis. I'll go in here and I'll do positive x, or I'll just do plus x. And this one here, the second one, that's going to be negative x. negative x. The third one here is, this is positive y. And the orientation of this matters if you're doing reflections, but we're just doing the lighting, so that we don't really have to worry about that. So this is negative y, and positive z plus z and plus negative z. So now we have all of our, and the white color we don't need. So now we have all of these colors here, and we can go ahead and easily edit them. Just right click on here and we can do edit. So if we wanted to just modify this color here, we can do so. So so let's try to move this into some other into a little bit kind of closer to something that we really like. So we have this, I really like this pink color on top here that's coming from the down, but I think I want to get all of the colors into a little bit of a reddish hue. So I'm just gonna start by doing the negative x one, and now I'm just going to be playing around with a couple of variations of the colors, and I'm just trying stuff out now. So this color here, the positive y color, let's try to do the y colors a little bit bluish, like so. And the positive z-axis color, this is probably the color that's coming from the down here, and we can pretty easily test that. So let's edit this color and let's make it yellow. So I want the front and back to be strong blue and kind of strong red and light red, and I want left and right to be strong blue and dark red. Let's just see how this comes out. And I'm just testing testing if the yellow is the top color. So we'll just export this out now. Batch export. All of the settings are the same. Yes, we want to replace it, and we've exported it out. Now then we have to go in again into our Nvidia tool here. We drag and drop our new cube map in here, so you can see that something changed. Well, you can actually see that the cube looks a little bit different from what I would have thought. The yellow color right now is the positive. I would think that this would be positive x. So let's see what happens. Gotta love. We save this as the exported cube map, but you gotta love the different kind of orientations. Okay. So so I re-imported it, but sometimes you need to kind of mess around here with the lights again a little bit. Okay, so cool. So we're getting these colors here. Yellow is here at the top, and this is actually starting to look a little bit better, kind of the way that I wanted it. It has like a yellow, pinkish kind of hue over it, and yeah, with the yellow and everything. So this is kind of cool. So let's see if we can add a little bit more kind of light into this to have stronger shadows, like so. So yeah, that's kind of cool. All right, so yeah, then I guess this is basically the way that I like to create these kind of color control schemes, color control scenes. So like I need to like I normally, when I'm doing this, I go into Adobe Xd here, for example, and I can say that yellow in our case here is top, so that's positive Z, top layer. So I like, it's very nice having these control scenes because you can add these like information when you're working on this. So yeah, so the red one is on the left, so I would just fill this out here with more information. So but the next time yeah, we've actually both created the color control scheme and we've added color to the cube map. So let's move on to the next task, which is going to be adding the actual gradient. So the gradient itself in the background is it's done exactly the same way. So I'll just create another artboard here, and I'm going to call it gradient. Can I not call it something? I'm going to mark it for export. Why doesn't it let me name it? Yeah, here we go. So this is going to be background gradient, and I want it to be like have a lot of detail on the kind of Z up and down axis, Y axis, but like I don't really need a lot of information on kind of left and right. So we will scale this so that it looks something like this, and let's just do 124. No, let's do height 124. Here we go, and it looks like this, and then this is just the position of it. So now again we're working on with this with our control scene. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go into the fill. I'm going to change this to a linear gradient, and I'm just going to set this to be the it's just going to be gray here. I'll go and press the plus button here, and then I get my gradient in here. I'm going to rename this to backdrop gradient. Okay, we're going to mark this for export, and we are going to change the color of this gradient into something bluish. Start with a light blue color, and we end up with, let's see, let's see, we edit it. We want to go and we want to take, yeah, I want to remove this. Okay, here we go. And we end up with something a little bit darker. But we can actually just go and do it really dark. Yeah, here we go. So now we have the gradient, and I'm just going to go out and export this out again. Batch export. So I'm going to replace the first one. But what happens is that because we marked this as marked it for export, it's going to get output into our file here. So you see we have the background gradient here. Let's go into our backdrop material now, and well, maybe start by just importing the backdrop gradient or background gradient. Now we have a gradient texture. We'll drag it in here, set it instead of our flat color, and we save. Cool. And then we have a little bit of a darker kind of darker area. But the thing is now, because I've picked this kind of deep dark blue as my background, like these colors here don't really make a lot of sense. So let's go back into, especially if we take the bottom and the top. So let's go back and see if we can get this to kind of jive a little bit better. So we know that the yellow color is coming from the top. So we want this color to be, let's just go into our, gradient here, and let's just take the color of the gradient and we'll use that as a starting point. So yellow here, go in here, put this here. So we want to have a pretty light blue color here, and and let's just see what effect this is going to have. So we can do control what is the combination to do this? Export, batch export this out. The only annoying thing about this is that every time that I export, I need to take this out through through this tool here, but I'm pretty sure someone could script this. So I've converted this into a cube map now. We'll go back into our into Unreal here, reload the exported cube map, and we may have to change this a little bit. Let's keep this at movable. So you can see that there's this blue color is coming in pretty strong from the top. Yep. And I think this this green color at the bottom isn't doing us any favors either, so we'll just take this color here and we'll apply this color to it. Right. So now it's actually telling me that this is using both of them. So I don't want that. I'm gonna go in here and change it a little bit. Let's just try to make it a little bit darker because this is the bottom one. Okay, and let's put these colors here. Let's just put them all closer to the blue color as well. So here we go, and I'll say that like this is very fun to do, like and interesting to do, because I'm not an artist, but so I'm more of a technical artist. So making a tool like this and just trying to see what I can make with it, a proper artist, someone who knows color theory and can go into all of these details, is gonna like be able to work really fast. So this is the workflow that I like to follow. So let's go in here and yeah, now this is the workflow that I like to give to other people. So go into the tool again and drag this in here, save it out, export it out. We reload this here. Okay, and move this a little bit. Okay, so so now we're getting closer to something more interesting. But everything is blue now. So what I would probably want to do here is just go in here and create a little bit more something a little bit more interesting. So let's just do one more iteration of this, where we go back into Adobe Xd and we take these sides here. So this is going to be X here, and let's put this over to orange, like so, and this one is going to be orange as well, but a little bit darker, like so. Okay, so we export this out again, batch export, replace, and go into the tool. Here we go. Okay, so now we should be getting a little bit more of an interesting effect around the sides, I would assume. We reload this here. We just change this. Yeah. So you can see now that now we get a little bit more color into it. So yeah, I mean, so this is a way where you can just keep iterating on this and until you get something that you're happy with. The colors aren't matching perfectly, so there are definitely some settings in Unreal that you need to kind of tweak so that so that you actually end up with precisely the colors that you're tweaking. But this is good to get you at least started. And let's go and take a look at this. There's a little bit darker. Yeah, and you have some control over this as well. So let's just make this a little bit darker by lowering the colors here. And yeah, now we have something that's a little bit more interesting. And yeah, I mean, then you just can continue tweaking this. So we've already added the gradient background, and we can just added that. So there is a little bit of an orange color coming here from the bottom. So now we go into a control scene again. We can change these like the bottom here of the gradient, and we can see if we can make it a little bit more orange, like so. We export this out again, and now we don't have to go back into the tool because this is just a regular PNG file. We go in here, we reload our gradient, and yeah, this was maybe a little bit too much. Go in here, edit it, and we can move the blue color a little bit further in, like so. And we can tweak this a little bit. Yeah, something like this. All right, replace, go back into Unreal and we reload the gradient. Yep, so now it's a little bit more interesting looking. So the gradient has been upgraded. So yeah, now we just move over to the next step, which is the actual particles themselves. So the last step is to try to create a little bit more of an ambience into the level. So the lighting is very kind of casual now and soft, and has a little bit of these interesting colors in them. So let's just go ahead and add a Niagara system here. We do an empty system here. I'm gonna call it BP_ambient, and we open this up. And there are so many things you can do here. I'm just going to add the most simple thing that I could think of, hanging particles. So this should just spawn particles, placing it into the scene right now. So this, as you can see, this just spawns a bunch of little particles in the world. Let's center this, go here and go here. So now you can see that we have these kind of small particles moving around, and now all we have to do is change the settings here. For example, I want this to be bigger, so I go in here and I search for the spawn location. It's on a shape. It's in a box. So let's put this to 1500. So the box is now much bigger. So the particles are going to be more around. So if the camera is here somewhere, you have more particles. And because this is a bigger area now, I'm going to go ahead and change the spawn rate itself to be 250 instead of 50. So this is going to give us more particles. And now we have this kind of very soft, smooth looking thing happening. And but I want to make this a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to change the noise force here to be a little bit more aggressive. So here you can see the end result, where I have this kind of simple puzzle-like world, where I have full control over, or like a lot of control over making the lighting stylish. We have some ambient particles looking here, and the next step really is just to make some really fun and interesting gameplay around it. So yeah, that kind of concludes the tutorial, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.